$1,300.48 and reschedule the event to a later date, doubling the attendance. Well, that's my ad today for the American Experiment. I have been boasting about the great seminars and meetings they hold, and in some cases, ones that get turned down for no reason whatsoever. But in this state, a conservative thought is thought to be evil because these people are idiots. It's that simple. So if you want to read I go to the American Experiment every day. I would put it in your bookmarks. It's AmericanExperiment.org.
The end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
ProfessionalTurf.com. Now, that's the website you go to if having the best lawn in town is something you desire. It's also the website you go to if you're considering a landscaping or outdoor living space project this summer. Get to that website, hook up with our friends at Professional Turf, because the landscaping schedule, it fills up fast, and you want to get on that list because ProTurf, they're the best. They're a certified landscape designer by the Minnesota Nursery and Landscape Association, and they're going to work with you to design your project using digital photography and landscape imaging. And it's this voodoo that's going to allow you to see the finished project before they even start. And boy, they can do it all. Trees, shrubs, perennials to concrete pavers, natural stone patios, fire pits, whatever you can dream up, they can do it. They do amazing work. And you'll see it all for yourself when you schedule that free in-person landscape design estimate at professionalturf.com. Be sure to scroll around the site and check out their work. ProTurf, they've been at it forever, providing superior lawnscape and lawnscape. I like that word, actually. Lawn care, landscape, and irrigation service since 82. It's a nice run. Schedule that ProTurf estimate today. Do it at professionalturf.com.
There's more on this Mankato situation. I'll use this as a source now. My first source was a release from the American Experiment. This is from Alpha News. This Pilates instructor is quite the gal. The YMCA's decision came after criticism from local activists. The Center of American Experiment wrote in an article on its website. Jennifer Hildebrand, who says she teaches classes at the YMCA, was alarmed when she heard that CAE was holding an event there, CAE, Center of American Experiment. Quote from Jennifer. Upon deeper examination, turns out the American Experiment is an insidiously racist, homophobic, hate-filled, hateful group whose values or lack thereof are polar opposite that of the YMCA's historically faith-based mission of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The group has a history of infecting the world with their hateful, hate-filled rhetoric and agenda. Their strategy to infiltrate our community's safe spaces and spread their cancerous message using vague, misleading language that normalizes their agenda to come across as benign, nonpartisan, concerned citizens is very intentional, manipulative, and dangerous, Hildebrand wrote in a public Facebook post. She said the YMCA was flooded with negative feedback about the event. Another woman, Lisa Finch, said she canceled her. Is there anything worse than a white liberal woman when they get their dander up? Another woman, Lisa Finch, said she canceled her membership to the YMCA after learning that a hate group was using their space as a platform to spread misinformation about our local education system and to promote vouchers and school choice programs. There's nothing in that for the center, by the way, to promote that. They don't get paid. We're going to tell people there's a lot of options out there.
Right.
This country can never be the same again. There are too many Jennifer Hildebrands, Lisa Finches, and on the other side, too many of their counterparts. There's just no hope. These people are so beyond the pale that there's no reining them back in. They've lost it completely.
It's too bad you don't have Facebook. I was on her Facebook page, and she's so. The kind term would be misinformed.
Mm-hmm.
The normal everyday street person term would be she's a dumbass.
But plus she's hysterical.
Well, she's not smart.
No.
And this is how you build the platform. This is how you build the resume. It's through activism with efforts just like this.
But it doesn't occur to these people that they've completely corrupted the idea of, first of all, a safe space is an affectation of the failed academy that sprung up out of whole cloth. It doesn't mean anything. Initially, it didn't mean anything. What it now means is we reserve the right to never hear anything we disagree with.
Yep.
That's all a safe space means. So in and of itself, it's definitively corrupt, ideologically corrupt. It means I don't have to listen to anything from you that I don't agree with. And if I do have to, that constitutes for me an unsafe situation. You fruitcake. I hope they get their money back. It sounds to me like this went down to the wire, and no one was paying attention until the last minute, and then they were able to dust off their activism and pretend they were terribly concerned about this. Yep. As a 501c, by the way, the American 501c3, they have no political affiliation. But if you have a conservative thought in this godforsaken state, you are thought to be evil because you're going to say things that you don't agree with. They're going to say things you don't agree with, and that means you're not safe. Not necessarily unrelated is a note I received from a woman in the mountains of Western Maryland, who writes, first and foremost, hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you.
Joe, I began listening to your show off and on in January of 2024. My 29-year-old son, who's extremely liberal, sent me a link for the podcast noting, these guys are pretty conservative, but they're hilarious. I think you'll like them. And he was correct. I love you all. I became a member of the council in October, I think, and became a monthly member last month after caving to the pressure surrounding becoming the GLer of the week. I'm also hoping for a T-shirt and a flag from my husband from my husband for Mother's Day. Yeah, I can get you a T-shirt. What about the flag?
I think those are out.
All right. That being said, I've just finished watching or listening to today's podcast as I do every evening around this time. This was dated 7:37 p.m. last night. And I'm slowly developing an unwanted pit in my gut. For background's sake, I will give you my demographics. I'm a 54-year-old married woman with 2 grown children. I live in a small college town in the westernmost portion of the state of Maryland, where I grew up, attended Catholic school, public high school, and the local university. I have a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in American history. My husband is retired from the state and currently works as a laborer for the local Parks and Recreation Department. I am a former police officer, but currently work for the state of Maryland in another position. My parents both graduated from high school, and my father worked a blue-collar job for 40 years while my mom stayed home and kept house. I grew up with parents who were Democrats, but my father essentially voted for whoever my mother told him he should vote for. When I was granted the opportunity to vote, I had big ideals, but I was narrow-minded when it came to politics. Democrats good, Republicans bad. As I grew, you're like Rand Cato. As I grew older, my opinions changed, and I found myself torn between the parties because I live in the mountains of Maryland and am not close to the tall buildings of Baltimore and Washington. My vote doesn't really count due to the small population of my county, as well as the county surrounding mine. My state is governed by Democrats and is populated with millions of Democrats. I, too, am a registered Democrat. That became the case in 2014 when I found that the party I was affiliated with was planning to help Donald Trump become the next president. Frankly, I have not been happy with the political world for about 20 years. And I write to you today with that same distaste and disdain for the prospect of what our world will become in the next 10 years. Here we're getting to our point now.
Yeah.
This show, you talk about Tim Walz and what his leadership has meant to Minnesota. What frightens me is the lack of knowledge that anyone outside of Minnesota actually has about him. I quit listening to the normal news outlets several years ago when I discovered that there is no network that reports the facts. This is the root of our problem. People like me, willing to listen, willing to learn, willing to vote for the right candidate, have no options. I work in an office with a group of retired law enforcement officers. They are conservative and listen to Fox News nonstop. May I say something when she's done about Fox News? Somebody remind me?
Sure.
While I understand this, I don't believe that's the answer either. They are working hard to defend their candidate and his decisions. They are not worrying about the news. Today you said regarding Walz, shut up and let this guy continue. But I say to you, he will never say enough for those outside of Minnesota to actually hear about. During the election cycle of Trump versus Harris, I remember no mention of Walz's accomplishments. Unfortunately, I remember no mention of his shortcomings either. Everyone was so focused on Trump and Harris that the quality of the vice presidential nominees was not addressed at length. This concerns me. Reavers said of Walz today, "How can you keep doubling down after such defeat?" The answer is simple. No one outside of Minnesota is hearing any of the negative. I fear this will be the case in the next election. There is no other Democrat or Republican stepping forward, setting the stage, greasing the wheels for 2028. If Walz continues his tour, he is likely to walk himself right back into the mix. And if people have had enough of Trump by then, we may be in big trouble. I cannot express how grateful and blessed I feel to have found GL. You, Rook, John, Chris, and Kenny are the highlight of my day. As a matter of fact, I was belly laughing so hard yesterday prior to Seamus's appearance that I almost choked to death. I don't remember what we were doing. I appreciate your candor and honesty as well as your constant quest for what's right. I am constantly talking about the show with my coworkers and family, and I do my best to promote the bear. Do my best to promote the mayor. As always, thank you and God bless Krista. Now, wasn't that nice? But here's why I bring it up. She's absolutely right. There's nobody covering Walz the way he should be covered.
But he did get way more criticism nationally than he's ever received locally outside of our show in Alpha News, correct?
I agree, but I disagree to this extent. He received only surface criticism for his antics. No one ever wrote about the horrible financial failure he's leaving the state in.
Wasn't that where we got the knucklehead line from? They were questioning his...
No.
But Chris, her
that's
point
not
was...
where you got it. No. That
Her
was
point...
related to something completely different.
It was Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what he
sorry.
called
You're
himself.
correct. You're correct.
Yep.
Her point was beyond Minnesota, nobody knows the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. It's all just that surface knucklehead dancing around the stage stuff. They don't, like Joe said, the rest of the country doesn't understand our financial straits here.
I don't believe any national press has examined in depth the extent of fraud in this state. Now, she mentioned Fox News. I'll just give you an example. Watch Fox if you want. Don't watch Fox. I don't care. CNN's on the one side, Fox is on the other. But here's an example of how ridiculous so-called journalism has become. Fox is the home base for Trump and Musk. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. And how much of his own money did Musk put into the Wisconsin Supreme Court race? $22 million?
That's what I've been told.
22.
And he showed up there twice to give out the big cardboard $1 million check to people who signed a petition on behalf of the Republican candidate in the Supreme Court race, who lost handily, by the way. And Musk came to town and he put on a cheese hat and he really put on the whole act, right? Fox News did not have that election result on their website today. What they had was voter ID passed in a Wisconsin election. They did not have the outcome of the Supreme Court election in which the liberal gal won. Well, that's obscene. That's just ridiculous.
Right. That's news.
They spent 3 months touting that election, campaigning on behalf of Musk for that election, pointing out why that election was so close to Trump, so important to Trump, and then the guy they're supporting loses by 10 points. There's not a word of it on their website.
Man, you're right. I'm looking at their site.
It's just pathetic.
Wow.
I guess I'm
surprised.
surprised because I had it pointed out to me this morning, and I looked at it, and I thought, holy mackerel. I hadn't examined other cases.
Joe, yeah, if we were to examine other cases, other news outlets, both print and TV, radio, media, we'd find the same thing across the board, both sides of the political aisle. This is common nowadays.
Well, I think CNN, if the tables had been reversed and the Republican candidate won, much to CNN's disappointment, I do believe CNN would have reported it.
Okay.
Well, might they have not, in your mind?
Well, I mean, if we're just talking opinions here, my opinion is no.
Even when you go to the politics section of the Fox News website, it's not on there.
It's outrageous.
Oh,
that
it's
not on.
apocryphal.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
It's
agree.
just ridiculous. Yes, John.
The CNN thing is they'd have reported it, but they'd have had
They would have had their fun with it.
Well, they would have had opinion pieces,
Right.
saying it was bad, or even on the TV they would have had a panel,
Yeah.
where they would have said, "Boy, how did this happen?" Blah,
Yeah,
blah,
exactly.
blah.
But it would
they'd
have gotten
reported
reported.
Yeah,
It didn't even get mentioned, is what I'm saying.
I see.
Now, maybe it was on TV. I don't watch TV in the morning. I have no idea.
Anxiety?
No, I just have other things to do, Chris. It's called reading. Reading the paper, which you've never done in your life.
They did report that we did lose Iceman. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I it's fun to single them out, but I think we could find the
Numerous
same thing
examples.
happening
Yeah, but
across the board.
let me just
Here we go.
put a
Here we go.
exclamation point behind this.
Yes, sir.
This one was particularly egregious because for some reason Musk and Trump got the whole country looking at this Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. It was a big, big deal.
If I may back you a bit on that, Joe, they ran a huge story yesterday morning saying first major swing state election of 2025 turns into referendum on Trump and Musk.
Right.
So they thought it was a big deal yesterday morning,
Right.
but they didn't think it was a big deal.
What the
once
guy
don't-
loses in the editorial decision is don't say anything. Don't say anything.
I don't
you
get my
frauds.
news from the TV, but if I did,
But
get
if
my
I
news,
did,
Right.
it wouldn't be from.
I didn't get my news from the TV. As I say, it was pointed out to me. and
Right.
I
Of
couldn't
course.
believe it.
I'm outraged.
So I went on the Fox site.
Standing
Here,
in my
Kenny,
front
why don't you
yard.
take this and go
Outraged
sit
that.
on it?
Just I
Yeah.
can't
Okay,
even
Fonzie.
stand it.
So anyway, I went to the Fox News site
What happened?
and verified for myself. My God, they didn't have a word about it. And I just thought, that's where we are. And you wonder why Pilates instructors in Mankato can become hysterical.
No, I don't. I understand completely.
And not to me, and these media things drive me crazy.
I know they do,
We've had
John.
arguments about this before. I go to CNN right now, and their lead is Republicans, 7 takeaways from the elections. Republicans hold 2 seats in Florida congressional races. That's their first story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they ignore,
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
They may give the opinion later that they, wish it had gone the other way. But
I think
it's on
what
there.
you're asking a very simple question.
Let's put it this way. Fox chose to simply not report it.
Right. They didn't report, you decide.
Right. CNN will report it and scoff at the. And if the tables had been turned, CNN would have reported it and figured out a way to rip the hell out of it.
Correct.
From foxnews.com, 3:25 a.m. Eastern Time, Dems say Wisconsin voters decisively rejected Trump, Musk after liberal wins state Supreme Court seat.
Which 2 people saw. So what did they have at 9 o'clock this morning? What did they have at 9
No
o'clock
matter
this
what
morning?
evidence you're presented, you are going to spin it the way you win the
Well, wait.
argument.
Okay, here, let me
2
help you.
people saw this, Joe? 2 people?
Yeah.
Was that-
foxnews.com.
But
2
Kenny,
people saw it.
would that be the equivalent of, let's just say, the Star Tribune putting something like this on a Saturday edition of the newspaper?
Oh, no,
Saturday. I didn't know Kenny was so invested in Fox. I
I
had
am
no
not.
idea. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just
you are. You're such a cheerleader for him that I can't believe it.
I don't watch Fox News at all.
Oh, you must. You must just be heavily. You must Are they a publicly traded company? I bet
Joe,
Kenny has stock in Fox News Inc.
If you think it's true, Joe, it's absolutely true.
Nothing this morning was mentioned on their website. I don't care what they had at 3 in the morning.
There's nothing there now either.
Kenny, do you still have
Even
that
in
Fox News
politics
T-shirt?
page.
You got a Fox hat and everything.
I've got the little card.
You know what? You got the Fox
the
hat that
badge.
Hagseth gave you. Remember, he sent you a hat?
Wear
Got
the
all
Fox
that
hat.
Fox stuff.
Wear the Fox hat.
Hey, are you good? Do you still have Krista's email in front of you?
Krista.
Yeah, the email.
The gal from Maryland.
Yes.
Would you please scroll down to maybe her last paragraph
Yes.
and just reread that again? She said she had a belly laugh over something.
Yeah.
And you ironically just dismissed it as if you didn't recall anything about the conversation. She's a town council member.
Yes.
And this was prior to the Seamus interview. And I think she had a belly laugh or two, maybe at one of the players in the show that is now to remain silent during the entire broadcast.
Good point.
And she just had a belly laugh. And I'm glad that
Maybe
at that point, when I had a voice on the show that I could
Before you had been silenced.
Yes, I could make somebody's day and have them have a belly laugh. And I'm sorry that will just fade
You
away.
think she's referring to your speaking in a brogue like
Yes.
Seamus?
Oh, I know. It was hilarious. I've heard from thousands.
When I told the folks back home that I was coming to Oktermokti, they said, "Wear the Fox hat."
Yeah, you got to wear the Fox hat.
Fox hat. So anyway, just and you
we're back.
You brushed over it and said, I don't remember I don't know what happened. It doesn't, So anyway,
I wasn't.
Matthew,
Back to
if Joe
programming.
said it wasn't funny, it wasn't funny.
I
I
didn't
will-
say it wasn't funny. It
I
was
will-
funny.
I
I don't
will
remember
now
what it was.
Go back to oral chastity.
Oral chastity.
Now back to Fox.
Why
and
don't we
Kenny.
go get John Hyatt?
Okay.
Why don't we? But how about first? I tell you about our friend Linda Keller and KellerTaxService.com. Here's the deal. UGLers responded
Kenny
in
got a
droves.
refund that he can. Is that private?
Top secret, apparently.
You need to be
Well,
silenced.
how's Kenny like that?
Rookie,
now?
will you silence the mayor?
He will not be silenced.
All of you GLers and Weekly Scramble listeners, Linda Keller wants to thank you. She has had her most successful tax season here in 2025, and she wants to thank each and every single one of you. Boy, Ken's going to be fun to deal with the rest of the show today. So here's the deal. She is completely booked before the filing date of April 15th, but if you want to file an extension, she's your gal. And trust me, I've filed an extension with Linda before. She knows what she's doing. So if you are a new client, she can still take you on extension as long as you call now and you have a plan. So here's what that means. You're going to file an extension to avoid penalties, then complete your tax return after the April 15th rush. But extensions don't mean that you can ignore taxes until October. You still need a plan, and that starts with calling the office right now. You do that by dialing 320-352-0013 today so you can get on track before the deadline. To all those clients, whether new or returning, thank you. The support has made this her best tax season yet, and she appreciates each and every single one of you. 320-352-0013. Call up now to set up a plan with Linda Keller and KellerTaxService.com, Joe.
Here, I'll clean the slate with Kenny. I overpaid to the point where I don't have to make a first quarter payment, okay? I don't see what's to get hysterical
I
about.
don't think he cares.
I overpaid. That's the same as getting a refund.
I think you're missing the point, Joe. But
I guess I am. I don't know what the point is.
KellerTaxService.com.
Get Linda on the phone to tell Kenny to calm down. got it. Don't worry.
Silence.
I got it.
Did he say
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
He's like Ken doll down there. Joe Souchere. The 67th annual GSTA Rod and Custom Spectacular coming to its brand new location, Canterbury Park Expo Center in Shakopee. That's the GSTA Rod and Custom Spectacular presented by Brainerd International Raceway. And it's coming up quick, Saturday and Sunday, April 12th and 13th. This is more horsepower than Canterbury Park has ever seen. This is more horsepower.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay, you got it? Okay.
Oh, I gotcha.
Just a courtesy laugh.
Because it's at Canterbury.
I can't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, except you, Joe. You can't say anything.
Joe has silenced himself.
This one has always been known as the unofficial kickoff to the car show season. It's a must-see for cylinder lovers, families, and anybody who loves incredible hot rods, customs, classics, and that wonderful smell of fossil fuels. All that and free parking, too. Tickets, $18 for adults, children 6 to 16, 7, and as always, kids under 6 are free. For tickets and information, visit gstarodcustom.com. Save the weekend. It's the kickoff for summer, the GSTA Rod and Custom Spectacular, April 12th and 13th at Canterbury Park.
Kenny, I promise this is a very quick story. I forgot to mention this to you guys. So when we were out in California a week ago Monday, we went to Long Beach. Jess and the boys wanted to see the beach. We drove through a bunch of scaffolding and stands and stuff, and I thought they must have had an event. They were setting up for the 2025 Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. I actually drove on what will be the track. It's
An F1 race?
no, it's the Acura Grand Prix because
That sports car
it
thing.
was so freaking cool, Kenny, and I'm the furthest thing from a gearhead. But I actually got to drive the track in my SUV.
By the way, the beach at Long Beach is a bit industrial. You could have found a better beach, I think.
Well, it was just
Long
convenient
Beach,
for us.
did you run into Snoop D-O-double-G?
I was
by
looking.
any
I was
chance?
really looking. But they expect? Is this a big deal? Because it looked like
Dog
they
pound.
it looked like they were expecting thousands and thousands of people
It's
there.
probably a big deal.
Oh, I do. You
Yeah.
guys don't know anything
I
about
don't
it.
know.
I don't know that race.
Gotcha. Okay.
Here's John Hyde in his newsroom.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Let's start the news with a sports-related news item. An agreement is now in place to end the years-long battle for ownership of the Timberwolves and Lynx. Glenn Taylor, the current owner of both basketball teams, will not appeal an arbitration panel's decision binding him to proceed with transferring ownership to former Walmart CEO Mark Lowry and former MLB player Alex Rodriguez. The final sale will require approval from the NBA Board of Governors and the full $1.5 billion payment. This wraps up a 4-year-long process that started with the plan to transfer ownership of the team incrementally. That plan, you'll remember, was derailed just before the final payment was due when Taylor called off the deal, saying Lowry and Rodriguez had failed to meet the deadline to obtain a controlling stake in the teams. It went to an arbitration board, which ruled in favor of Lowry and Rodriguez in February. Taylor initially said he was thinking about an appeal, and he had until May 11th to do so, but that's now been dropped as he had agreed to finalize the sale. There were concerns in the early stages of the deal that Lowry and Rodriguez didn't have enough cash to cover the price tag, but they have gained the backing of several wealthy investors, including former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, and private equity interests. If the sale is finalized now, it will end Taylor's 31 years as owner of the Timberwolves. He saved the franchise from leaving Minneapolis in 1994 when he bought the team for $94 million. The NBA Board of Governors did meet just last week, and it's unclear when they'll meet again to vote on the deal.
Do we know their intentions? Are they going to, we need a new building?
They'll start their new building spiel pretty quick.
There's no way though that they'll be able to get relocation rights.
I don't think you got the right political group there that wants to spend money on taxes, not when they can spend money on food fraud.
Yeah.
They
We
do-
have
I
a
read-
green roof. Remember we got the lawn roof at Target Center now?
yeah.
That leaked during the playoffs.
They have a lease to be there through 2035. I read this morning, and if they break that, there could be some issues, apparently. So we'll see where all that leads. In news, on Tuesday, yesterday, the Minnesota Department of Health provided more details about how the federal government cuts more than $220 million in federal grants will directly impact that department. The department says that they were made aware last week of about $226 million in federal grants being terminated. That money was related to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was part of the Trump administration's decision to cancel more than $11 billion in COVID-19 related grants for different state and local health governments. MDH said yesterday they sent layoff notices to 170 employees whose positions were funded by the grant money. Other employees were sent at-risk notices of being laid off due to rules around seniority for layoffs. MDH said in total, about 300 people were sent notices, and 20 people who were slated to start with the department had their offers rescinded. The press release says the staffing cuts will impact a variety of public health responses for the state, including wastewater surveillance, measles, H5N1, the state public health laboratory, and community clinics and vaccination efforts. A University of Minnesota grad business student who's being held by Immigration and Customs is suing for his immediate release, saying his arrest violated his rights, and he's been given little explanation as to why he's being held. The lawsuit, filed this week on behalf of Dogakan Gunyadin, a Turkish citizen, says two plainclothes federal officers arrested him on the street outside his St. Paul home while he was on his way to class on Thursday. Dogakan feared he was being kidnapped, he said, as a man in a hooded sweatshirt grabbed him and handcuffed him. The Department of Homeland says that he was arrested because he had a conviction for drunken driving on his record. Federal agencies said he was not detained for any political activity. His petition says Gunyadin had attended no protest, has written no politically driven publications. The petition cites online records showing that his student visa was not terminated until about 7 hours after his arrest, with the only reason listed as otherwise failing to maintain status. The petition says authorities have met none of the legal grounds for terminating his student visa. It says a drunken driving condition is not a legal basis, citing a DHS list of termination reasons. His petition acknowledges that he was arrested for drunken driving in 2023, but says he pleaded guilty, served his sentence, and complied with all conditions of his release. It says he has no other criminal convictions or arrests except for a speeding ticket when he was at St. Olaf College. After his conviction, Gunyadin was accepted into the university's Carlson School of Business, awarded a scholarship, and maintained a full course load with a high grade point average, according to the petition.
Is he already back in Turkey?
I don't believe so.
He's held somewhere.
Yeah, he's being held. Yeah. According to the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, the Sportsman Guide location in South St. Paul has permanently closed. Deed says Cicera Brand, Sportsman Guide's parent company, will reportedly consolidate the company's distribution center operations into one facility in Greenfield, Indiana. Because of the closure, the 57 employees at the 411 Farwell Avenue location will be permanently laid off beginning July 18th. According to Deed, the employees being affected are not represented by a union.
We're acting like we know what that is. What's Sportsman's Guide?
Go ahead, Kenny.
Well, you go ahead, Matt. You know just as much as me.
You could, at one point, they were downtown. They're off of Concord.
Yeah.
And they do have a what do you call it? Publication.
Yeah,
but they also
catalog.
And they also have a small store. So if you wanted to go purchase a rifle, you could go into their store. And they also have a location off of by Inver Grove Heights.
A warehouse?
Yes.
Which is weird because when you buy something that they don't have at the store, you have to go over to their warehouse and sit at a back door in a parking lot.
Yes.
It's really weird.
Until they come out and get you?
Yeah.
Your number or whatever?
When we were buying Gabe's, that's where we went first. And we
Buying him what?
His first shotgun.
You bought him a Remington 870, if I remember right.
You are correct, sir.
A pump.
Yep.
Does he carry it with him?
All the time.
All right.
24/7.
Yep.
Even when he's bartending.
Oh, right.
Edina police are looking for the person who stole a life-sized bull statue. The 300-pound stainless
That's
steel.
tough to get away with.
Right.
300
Be
pounds.
tough in the 48
We
hour
don't even
rule,
have
too.
a bull. It's been here forever.
300-pound stainless steel bull was taken from an Edina business, the District, on Washington Avenue South over the last few days. The owner of the statue, Gregory Rich, named the bull Eduardo and is offering a reward to get it back. He says, I don't want to sound spiteful, but we're offering $2,500 for Eduardo's safe return, no questions asked, and I'll pay $5,000 if he's returned and someone goes to jail. Local scrapyards are on the lookout for the statue, and if you have any info, you're asked to call Edina Police Department.
It's worth a couple $100 of scrap metal. Who in the hell could lift that?
Right.
You need a team of ne'er-do-wells.
You need a team or a
Haul that off
forklift.
to your man cave. Matthew, is where Sportsman's Guide and the Stockyards, that's South St. Paul, right?
Correct.
That's correct.
But they also had a location, I don't know if they still do, just off of Cahill, and it was in Invergrove Heights. So
Well,
it's
my
on the other side.
question about that Stockyard area, has anything happened down there? Is there any kind of development or?
Mayor Francis has done a wonderful job of luring the new Kenworth that used to be on University in Cleveland.
Yeah.
They have a really nice place down there just off of Concord. The Quick Trip, a couple of new banks came up, and there's some business offices. So he has basically turned that around from
Cool.
nothing to brand new places.
Yeah, a perfect place for development down there.
Yes.
Well, a lot of people like to go there and watch the Eagles.
Yeah, Kaposia Landing. You
Yep.
can see 400 eagles. I mean, they're on the other side of the river.
Dog collars everywhere.
Dog collars everywhere, and the
Terrible.
nests.
Falling out of nests.
Right.
There's it was late this year, but the Twins yesterday announced the new food items at Target Field. They opened
Oh,
the
we
season-
missed it
They
again.
also got a victory yesterday.
They did in Chicago. They open the home season tomorrow against the Astros. Among the new things you'll be able to find, and I'll offer these without a lot of detail, but the grilled Spam sandwich, that's obvious.
That actually, I saw a video of it. It actually looks pretty good. I'll give him that.
Kenny likes it raw.
Why do you have to use the word actually?
Well, because so
That's
many
kind of a
people have.
hurtful
I like
word.
Spam, but so many people have a negative thought about it. But I like Spam.
Keeper's Heart Spiced Honey Crisp. I'm assuming that's the apple. So they spice up an apple and give it to you, I guess. Keeper's Heart Vanilla Creamed Whiskey.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't get the invite anymore. I wish I would. I think that's been a fall from grace, so it's kind of predictable to have the new food and stuff like that. It's not like it used to be 10 years ago.
Dugout Dill.
So I'm not bitter by not being invited at all, right? Okay, not at all. Not bitter
at all. No.
But you remember every minute of not being invited.
See right through me. You see right through me.
Dugout Dill Pickle Pizza from Pizza Luce. Well, that sounds kind of good. Lord Fletcher's Walleye Taco.
Oh, I bet that's good.
Brat Sampler from Kramarchuk's.
I'd
Wait
try
a
that.
second.
Okay.
Wait a second. Pizza Luce has a stand out there?
They do now. I don't know.
I think
It's-
they're
it's,
in that new center field area, Ken, where they have a bunch of local restaurant places that are in that new center field area behind the batter's eye.
It's the Cutwater Cocktail Bar at Minnie and Paul's, wherever that is. So you're right, Chris, right by.
That food ain't
Minnie
cheap
Paul.
out there.
Oh God, no.
Now this, I've heard great things about it, about the restaurant version. So I'm assuming the baseball thing would be as good. I've never had it, but a lot of friends of mine have said the machete from Taco Libre is amazing.
What is it?
And it's a big, long burrito, basically, but it's put together differently. They're going to have those in the main concourse and a Grand Slam shawarma in the main concourse.
What is that, John?
That's a Mideastern thing. Rook probably could tell you more about that than I could.
I ain't eating no shawarma.
would be the chicken, pickles.
Nope.
Trying to think what else you'd put on there.
What's
Probably
wrong with
some
chicken and pickles?
sauce.
Nope.
What?
But I don't know what the bread would be. Would it be on a gyro?
Joe's kind of a communist.
Would be probably on a gyro bread. The best thing out there is the red cow. The
No
red
doubt.
cow out there is.
Do you still get the Gray Duck discount at the at Target Field?
If you got the right wink nudge and you say no more, you might get the.
Can you get a normal hot dog?
Of course.
Does the guy still go through the sands with a normal bleeping hot dog?
I don't. It must be Hormel. I don't know for sure if it's still Hormel, but Nathan's is pretty up there.
Joe, you are the
Max Fish and
oldest.
Chips, locally owned. Go see my guy Dan Flanagan and Tommy Flanagan out at the.
Father Moses.
I want a hot dog.
I want a basic hot
Yeah, well,
dog.
when you see
And a
Joe at the
ham
ball game,
steer.
offer him some of your garlic fries.
Oh,
There you
Yeah,
go.
sit close to him.
those are. Do they sell those there?
don't
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah, they do.
terrible.
Why don't we take a
They
quick break
stink.
here? Let's go run
I
and get
didn't
some garlic
realize
fries.
that we're So contentious this
Yeah,
afternoon.
I didn't think that story was going to cause arguments.
No, it should. That food should not be there.
Why don't we have some national, international news after this message from the rookie?
You know, after you do get your garage floor done by Innovative Garage Flooring, if you drop your hot dog there, your hamburger, whatever you have, you will eat it right off the floor because it looks so beautiful and it is crisp, clean, and ready to go. I've had my garage floor done, and I highly recommend you call the guys at Innovative Garage Flooring. It will change the look. It'll change the vibe in the garage. Why choose Innovative? Well, they're one of the strongest, if not the strongest warranty in the business. Of course, they do commercial, industrial, residential. They've been doing this for over 30 years, so they have one of the largest selections of product lines and floor systems and the know-how. They polish concrete as well, and they install resinous systems. Showroom is available in Blaine if you want to take a look. And not only do they install any floor system, but they do it with the price match guarantee. So you can poke around, but they're going to match it. They advertise on Garage Logic Podcast. They are GLers. Call 763-291-0110. 763-291-0110. Or go to innovativegaragebflooring.com and let them know that the Rook sent you.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
North American Banking Company, Joe. See, you didn't ask if anybody had something before we returned to programming, but that's okay. Joe, I am not offended in any way, shape, or form. And you won't be offended if you decide to take your business to North American Banking Company. I did several months ago, and I'm very happy that I switched from my big national bank. And that's because anytime you go into one of the 6 Twin Cities locations, they're going to take the time to get to know you, your family, and of course, in some cases, your business. Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove are the 6 locations of North American Banking Company. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks, whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. They will be able to help you out. And they also offer all of the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. Locally owned and operated, they are the best. And they have one simple philosophy, and that's banking done differently. North American Banking Company member FDIC. Joe is an equal housing lender. Thank you for your patience.
No, I just wanted to say before John resumed that I read the obit of Terry Dolan, the U.S. bank exec,
yes.
whose plane crashed and he died. He might have been a GLer. It was a great obit, very warm. But in it, it said he loved to spend time in hardware stores just looking around.
Oh, man.
Sifting through the nuts and bolts of life.
Sure.
Yeah. Here's John.
In other news, President Trump will announce that long-awaited plan for broad tariffs on several countries at 3 o'clock today, our time. The White House has described the global trade overhaul as necessary to level the playing field while luring manufacturing back to the U.S. Details of the plan remain unclear, although options examined by the administration include a flat 20% tariff on most imports into the U.S. and reciprocal tariffs that seek to match import duties placed on U.S. goods by other nations. Once announced, the tariffs are expected to take effect immediately. Exemptions to previously announced 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada will also expire today. Proposing and enacting tariffs have strained U.S. relationships with allies, including the European Union and Canada. They've all vowed to retaliate. Economists warn that tariffs could spur inflation, slow some economic growth, and increase the risk of recession.
I have a tariff question.
I've read as many trusted pundits who don't like the tariffs as I have read many trusted pundits who do. I don't know where to be.
It's way above our pay grade, isn't it?
Apparently.
Yeah.
The Democratic-backed candidate for Wisconsin, as we heard earlier, for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, defeated a challenger endorsed by President Trump and Elon Musk yesterday, touting her victory as a win against powerful interests and cementing a liberal majority for at least 3 more years in Wisconsin on the court. Susan Crawford, a Dane County judge who led legal fights to protect union power and abortion rights and to oppose voter ID, stood on stage surrounded by the court's 4 current liberal justices and celebrated her win as a victory for democracy. Meanwhile, in Florida, Republicans Jimmy Patronis and Randy Fine won special elections in 2 Florida congressional districts, bolstered by President Trump's endorsements to fill vacant seats in 2 reliably Republican strongholds. Patronis, the state's chief financial officer, fended off a challenge from Democrat Gay Villamont, even though she far outraised and outspent him. He'll fill the Northwest Florida 1st District seat vacated by former Rep. Matt Gaetz, who was chosen to be Trump's attorney general but withdrew from consideration amid allegations of sexual misconduct. In North Florida's 6th District, Fine won against Democratic challenger Josh Weil for a seat vacated by Mike Waltz, who is now Trump's national security advisor. The win gives the Republicans a 2020-2013 margin in the House of Representatives. Some election watchers said the margins of victory were narrower than usual in the Republican-heavy area that Trump won by 30 points during the election last time around. But Republicans, including Governor Ron DeSantis, say that Fine's underperformance should not be taken as a referendum on the administration. He called it a candidate-specific issue.
Kenny's beloved Fox News Channel did not have anything about the Wisconsin Supreme Court race.
Well, I was just going to read you an email from Loyal Town Council member Jamie Malberg, subject line Fox News. FYI, the first thing I do in the morning is watch some Fox News on television. The Wisconsin race was mentioned as soon as I had it on early this morning. However, I do not go to the Fox News website.
Thank you.
Okay.
The Trump administration deported a man to the
was trying to save. Sorry.
You were trying to do what?
Help you.
That didn't help.
I know.
No, that's
You did help me. Thank you,
yeah,
Chris.
you helped Kenny out, Chris. That a boy.
Brothers in arms.
Yeah, he helped Kenny. Didn't help me.
I'm going to drop
Say,
down.
since we're pausing here, I had a great idea.
That should not be any help anymore.
Since it's evident that he's impossible to work with today, much like Sidekick in a can, could we just get Joe in a can for days like this? We can just send him home, and we can just have maybe 20 revolving cuts of him.
Who's got something?
Yeah.
What are we doing next?
Hey, you guys are morons. Are you paying attention?
Stop talking so I can.
Let me just interrupt you and ignore you.
Yes.
Val Kilmer, the brooding, versatile actor who played fan favorite Iceman
Sorry about Val Kilmer, but I got a right.
in Top Gun, donned a large cape as Batman in Batman Forever, portrayed Jim Morrison in The Doors, has died. Kilmer was 65. He died Tuesday night in L.A., surrounded by family and friends. His daughter, Mercedes Kilmer, said in an email, Kilmer died from pneumonia. He had recovered after a 2014 throat cancer diagnosis that required 2 tracheotomies.
Ooh.
Kilmer, who at 17 was the youngest actor ever accepted into the prestigious Juilliard School at the time he attended, experienced the ups and downs of fame more dramatically than most actors. His first break came in the 1984 spy spoof Top Secret, followed by the comedy Real Genius in 1985. He starred in well-known films and in lesser-known art films. Among the films, Heat, Tombstone, of course, where he played Doc Holliday, Top Gun, Batman Forever, Thunderheart, The Snowman, and many, many more.
Tombstone is a fantastic movie.
I don't know that I've seen it all.
John,
Yes.
what's his best movie line ever?
Well, my favorite is, why, Johnny Ringo, you look like a ghost just walked across your grave. That's my favorite.
Mine is, I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Mine is in Top Gun when he just goes to Mav.
Kilmer published 2 books of poetry and was nominated for a spoken word album Grammy in 2012 for The Mark of Zorro. He was also a visual artist and a lifelong Christian Scientist. He dated Cher, married and divorced actress Joanne Whaley. He is survived by their 2 children, Mercedes and Jack. He told the AP in 2021, I have no regrets. I've witnessed and experienced many miracles.
He was 65.
65, correct.
Okay. How old is Cher? What's the age difference
About
there?
110.
80-something, right?
Yeah.
She is 78.
78.
So that's 13 years.
13 years. Yeah.
Did you ever
Well,
read
he
his-
didn't date her last year.
But
No, but it's a 13-year span.
well, isn't her boyfriend now in his 30s? Or,
Yeah, she got one of those young guys.
You know. Hooters has filed for bankruptcy protection. HOA Restaurant Group filed the motion for Chapter 11 protection in the North Texas Bankruptcy Court in Dallas. It's the latest legacy restaurant chain to run into financial trouble amid high food and labor prices, changing customer tastes, and growing competition from newer casual chains. Red Lobster, Fridays, and Buca de Beppo all filed for bankruptcy protection last year, while the Tex-Mex chain On the Border filed for bankruptcy protection last month. Under this Hooters bankruptcy plan, 100 company-owned U.S. restaurants would be sold to a group of Hooters franchises. The franchisees, who include Hooters founders, currently operate 14 of the 30 highest volume Hooters restaurants in the U.S., according to the Hooters.
I think Hooters is overrated.
You know, my deal is, how does the guys that started that, when they go to their wives, we're going to start a restaurant. It's called Hooters. They're going to have short shorts on. Boobs are going to be hanging out all over. What do
They
you think,
didn't
dear?
care if they made a lot of money.
But I think the reason for all those bankruptcy stuff is there's too many good, smaller restaurants out there that are putting on a great product.
Thank you.
I only ate at Hooters once. I thought the food was mediocre at best.
I just went there.
Ain't never ate at one.
Right.
How were the bosoms?
I just sat and looked. I never ate anything. I just sat at the bar and looked. Right. I've never been to one.
And a federal judge dismissed New York City Mayor Eric Adams' corruption case today, acquiescing to the Justice Department's extraordinary request to set aside criminal charges so a Democrat could help with President Trump's immigration crackdown. The judge, though, denied prosecutors the ability to potentially bring the case back up after the mayoral election. Judge Dale Ho's order to dismiss the case with prejudice spares Adams from having to govern in a way that pleases the president or potentially risk having the Republicans' Justice Department revive the charges. The judge said he wasn't opining on the merits of the case, but that courts can't force prosecutors to move forward. Still, he expressed qualms, about the government's move in Adams' case.
Did any Hooters girls ever go on to become actresses?
Why are you
I don't believe so.
Well, no, but in the
check
sense
their
of, remember
website.
back in the day, they'd say, "Oh, Jane Mansfield was a soda."
You know what? I'll do some research for the show.
Yeah, try to get through the filter.
Yeah.
And then when Hooters was open at the Mall of America, the level that it was on had, I think, games and things that were being played, pinball machines, that kind of. So when you took your kids and your family, when you walked by the Hooters, you had to pretend with the wife there that you weren't looking into the restaurant to see, hey, what's going on at this Hooters restaurant? You just
Is
had
it
to
still
go
there?
front and center. I don't know if Hooters is still at Mall of America.
On their website, there actually is a Hooters Girls Hall of Fame.
I'm
Let's
telling
go.
you, I bet some of them.
Holly Madison.
I don't know.
sure.
I don't know who that is.
dated Hugh Hefner.
She married Hugh Hefner.
That's
She
not
was one
much
of the
a.
three.
That's not much of a feather in the
Kendra?
cap.
Cassidy. She's in the
Sure. Spelled how?
One name only.
That's all she needed. She's unforgettable.
A lot of them went on to appear in Playboy.
That's nothing.
put it
They weren't
there.
really actresses or anything. They just
No, they were, as Kenny would say, they were good girls.
They were fetching. Thank you, John.
yes.
I got to tell you, I hope
think.
I have your garage door guy for you in case you haven't heard. It's Precision Door Minnesota. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. And the emailers love them. The GLers have made Precision Garage Door their garage door guy. Put this number in your contacts for Precision Door, 612-263-6985. They're also your go-to garage door guy for a new door. They have models for every budget. They send out a designer. That's consultation is free. You absolutely do not have to bring your garage to them. And if you get a new garage door now, Precision Door is throwing in a new opener motor for that garage door. That's a value of more than $760. They're the best. They don't even charge more for weekend visits. They get there quick and they get it done. You can call them, as I say, at 612-263-6985 or go online at Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
Have you noticed in the news that some of the larger failed academies are very worried that they're going to have federal funding cut?
Oh, yes.
Bleep them. I have a list of the endowments, the
Let's
top
go.
endowments. Why should you, as a hardworking taxpayer, send any money to Harvard?
Correct.
Not only are they a failed academy, they have an endowment of $52 billion a year.
Wow.
Why don't you use your own money?
Wow.
Wow.
That's per student. That's more than $2.1 million per student.
Wow.
Down there, Texas way, University of Texas, their endowment is $47.5 billion.
Wow, it's a lot of bad buckles.
Yale, $41.4 billion. Stanford, $37.6 billion. Princeton, $34.1 billion. Why in the hell are the American hardworking taxpayers, why are we funding these places?
How do they build that type of endowment? Where does it come from?
Donors, and then they invest
many-
it. And
Joe, how many presidents do you suppose have graduated from Harvard? I wonder how much that has to do with it.
well, in combination with Yale and Harvard, I bet you'd get pretty few, pretty many, pretty few. That's a good way to
go.
put it,
Pretty
Joe.
few, huh?
Yeah.
You studied at St. Thomas, right?
So, well, what school?
8 is the answer.
Okay, how about Yale? I bet Yale. George
Check that
W. went
next.
to Yale, didn't he?
W.
I think HW did too.
5.
Okay, that's 13. How about Princeton?
Oh, God. Why don't you look it up yourself?
Well, because you're doing a great job, and I don't think.
Well, thank you. That's all I needed, that encouragement. 2, Joe.
Okay, we're up to what, 10?
Give me another
No,
one.
it was 8 and 5 and 13. We're at
University of Michigan would have given you Gerald Ford.
I'm not going to look for
Notre Dame. Any presidents from Notre Dame?
Notre Dame. 6.
Really?
This is fun.
Wow. Columbia University, they have a $15 billion endowment.
Wait.
Oh.
I got no. There's been 6 presidential visits for commencement, but none
Hold
have
on.
attended
wait a
Notre
minute. Oh,
Dame.
boy.
6 U.S.
Zero.
presidents have delivered commencement addresses at the University of Notre
Wow.
Dame. Well, it was fun right up until that point.
I have 0 presidents that
sorry,
attended
Teddy.
Minnesota State University, Mankato.
It's okay, John. That's why we have you. Because of dummies like me.
Well, I don't want to give any money to Harvard, University of Texas, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, University of Pennsylvania, Texas A&M, Michigan, California, Notre Dame, Columbia, Northwestern, Johns Hopkins, and Washington University in St. Louis. Why should the taxpayer pay for that? They got money. They can dip into their own savings for that money. Only because they come to
Wait,
us.
since you're ending it here.
15
just one.
U.S. presidents who went to Ivy League schools.
Yep.
Barack Obama, Columbia and Harvard.
Yeah.
George W., Yale and Harvard business class. Clinton, Yale. George Herbert Walker Bush, Yale. Gerald Ford, you're right, Yale.
No, Gerald Ford would have been Michigan.
I thought Clinton was Arkansas.
He's from Arkansas. He went to a different
Yale
school.
Law School. Sorry, Yale Law School.
That's
J-
enough. That's
Okay,
fine.
copy.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans.
You got a thank you out of them, Matthew.
I know I did.
He graduated from Georgetown before attending Yale Law
I'll take
School.
the
I
Who did?
apologize. Clinton did.
How come it's Johns Hopkins?
I don't know.
Because Clem named it.
I knew this
Right.
once.
Johns Hopkins.
How come it's Ruth's Chris?
Because it was Ruth's Steakhouse. It was Chris Steakhouse, and then Ruth bought it. Then it was Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
She named it after her son.
I have here my formerly nicotine stained fingers.
I believe it was also not going to be pronounced DiMaggio. It was Ruth.
I said Ruth.
Johns Hopkins is named after a 19th century Maryland philanthropist named Johns Hopkins.
Was he a twin?
On this day,
That was
What
not a
have I
blurt.
told you?
That was not a blurt. That was
have I-
chuckles
That was
from the
contribution.
staff.
That
And you
was-
were holding yours back, so I count you in as a chuckle.
On this day,
Two of them, April 2nd.
in 1849, Alexander Ramsey was appointed the first governor of Minnesota Territory. The third choice of President Zachary Taylor, Ramsey was selected after the first Edward W. McGaugh.